Hello, fellow fools, and welcome to your timeless pick a pile reading. My name is Bren. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm going to be guiding you through this very magical card reading experience today. Now, if you're new here, welcome, welcome. And if you're, returning, welcome back. So glad to have you. But the way that this reading is going to be structured is we're going to start with the overall energy of this lunation, which is the full moon in Aquarius, which again, this is a timeless reading, so don't be discouraged if you're not experiencing a full moon right now or a full moon in Aquarius right now. You're probably drawn to this reading for a reason, so don't be afraid just because the topic might not be what you're going through right now astrologically. Doesn't mean that the messages are not relevant to you in some kind of way. Okay, so we're going to start with the overview of the astrology of this lunation, and then we're going to move into a collective reading to tap into, the collective energies of what am I moving through? What are you moving through? What are maybe the people around you also moving through in a kind of a broader kind of energy? And then from there, you get to choose your pile and really investigate some more specific themes that might be impacting you at the time of watching and receiving this reading. So without further ado, oh, and one more thing, I always forget to say this, but there are timestamps, so if you want to scroll around, that's totally fine. You don't have to listen to all of it, even though there's messages everywhere in this video for you. But if you're being called to just picking a pile, you can scroll to that part of the video, or if you want to just do the collective, whatever you want. Also, you can pick a pile, but you're also welcome to watch the entire video if you're really feeling drawn to the messages within. So again, this is kind of choose your own adventure energy, so trust your intuition and you will not be led astray. All right, so without further ado, we're going to talk about this full moon, which is in Aquarius. Now, this is a really powerful full moon that we're experiencing, not only because we're about 2 weeks out from the first eclipse of this season, where we're moving from the nodals. Oh my gosh, how do I say this? Mercury is moving really slow. It's technically direct now, thank goodness, but we're still in the post retrograde shadow. So Mercury is still moving pretty slow. So apologies if I'm like just right now, I'm slipping up on words and just not communicating as effectively as I would like to, but that's okay. The messages will come through that need to come through. So anyway, this is a powerful full moon because we are entering eclipse season very soon, and that's a time of fated events. I like to think of it as like, outside of the eclipse, we get to have our free will and we get to make decisions, all that kind of thing. And then when eclipse season comes around, that's when we're kind of redirected, and where if we're not on the right path, the universe or spirit, whatever, will try to get us back on path. So just keep that in mind. There's a lot of fated events that might be occurring in the next few weeks, especially in the next month ahead, because again, this full moon is not an eclipse, but it is impactful because the nodes are actually moving into the sign of Aquarius. The North Node, our destiny point, depending on how you view the North Node, is entering Aquarius, and the South Node is entering Leo. So that's going to be our new nodal conversation that we're going to have for the next year and a half-ish. So it's just a really big transformation. The bigger theme stories that we're playing out, they're now shifting from that Pisces Virgo axis now into the Aquarius and Leo axis. And that's literally what we're talking about with this full moon. So let's talk about Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius is a fixed air sign, and it's known to be a genius of the zodiac. It's the 11th sign. So in some theories of astrology, people like to think that each zodiac sign through the wheel has contained all of the previous signs that come before it. So if we start with Aries only has itself within it, but once we go around the wheel, like Taurus next, for example, Taurus would understand the lessons of both Taurus and Aries, but then we would go all the way around the wheel. Aquarius would then be composing of all of the energies before that. So basically all the zodiac signs except for Pisces for Aquarius. And again, this is take it or leave it, whatever. But there is a genius about Aquarius. They're kind of known as the mad scientist. They're often associated a lot with technology. They have, technology is not always computers and things like that, but they either, I don't know, they're considered the weirdos of the zodiac. So they kind of do things to the beat of their own drum. Some Aquarian energy can be maybe, they seem like they're not of this time or not of this planet in a way. So maybe they were born before their time or after their time. You know, there's just something about the Aquarians that operate uniquely and a little differently than maybe the average Joe. You know, and one Aquarius can be so different from another Aquarius. One Aquarius could be a genius, again, in like the tech space and things like that, but another Aquarian could be the odd duck out just because they are maybe more of an Amish kind of personality, even though they were born into a society of technology. You know, they decide to, you know, get off the grid and things like that. So Aquarian energy is just really interesting, and I personally really love it. So that's kind of the general Aquarian energy. And again, there's so much nuance to that, but that's what I'm being called to share at this time. So for this lunation, oh my goodness, we've got a lot of Aquarius energy going on, and we also have even more Leo energy going on, and they're directly opposing each other. So we have team Jupiter and Sun in Leo right now. The Sun does love being in Leo, so operating very well there, and Jupiter's like right on top of that. So both of the two biggest planetary bodies in our solar system are conjunct. So there's a lot of really big Leo energy, and Leo is the sibling sign of Aquarius. So they look at each other in the wheel of astrology, or in the sky, in their constellations. They're opposites, right? So they both have a common theme, but they go about it in different ways. They're different elements, so they can also butt heads. They understand each other and they love each other. And also, again, sometimes when you're faced with they have the same goal, but they go about it in different ways. So that can be triggering to some people or whatever. Because Leo's very flamboyant. It's very much fire, and it's ruled by the sun. So if you think about how the sun operates, that's a very Leo quality, where it's like, here I am, everyone. You can't really ignore me, you know. And often the world, you know, the universe really does revolve around the sun in a lot of ways. So a lot of Leos can take that on. And again, all zodiac signs can have more mature expressions of those energies, and also less mature expressions of that energy. So perhaps a less mature Leo could be like demanding attention in whatever ways they can get, whether it's favorable to people or not, you know, like poking you, being really annoying, like, hey, I'm here, like that's annoying. But, you know, the Leo's going to get their attention, right? There's very energy vampire energy that can come with Leo energy. So whether that's, you know, people like to also take from Leo because they are the shining radiant sun, and they can be super loyal and super giving and super generous. But again, yeah, just going back to the energy vampire thing, we can either take from the sun, or the sun can drain us of our energy. It's kind of like a two-way street there. So just be aware of like where your energy is going, especially because these two huge planetary bodies, the sun and Jupiter, are both in that Leo energy. So, you know, there's just a lot of heat going on right now, you know, and that is directly opposing the moon and Pluto in Aquarius and its opposite sign. So, you know, team fire over here going like to team Aquarius, they're looking at each other, and there's just a lot going on there where we're being asked to really see the truth about maybe our friendships, or the truth about what we're really doing here, what is our purpose here, really opening up to what needs to be changing, because there's so much huge astrological shifts that are happening right here and right now in the moment of recording this. And we have Frank got I was about to record earlier, and Frank, my cat, like got attacked by another cat outside, and I was like worried. I think she's fine for sure, but it was kind of like a startling energy to like start this video on. And so just something else to consider is like, you might have like something happen that really transforms your life. There's big endings at this time, or big beginnings as well. Pluto's a very transformational planet, so it just seems like profound change is in the air. Especially with this lunation, and we're going to be able to see it because the full moon we see in the sky, it's a very flamboyant energy, being like Leo and Aquarius. Aquarius is the weirdo, so it's, you know, just like Leo, maybe Aquarius doesn't go about it in this big flamboyant way, but it's hard to ignore an Aquarius, you know. So they both have this quality about like whether you like it or not, it's hard to ignore these energies. So I do feel like this big awakening about like, who are you and how are you uniquely showing up? Are you in fear of showing up a certain way because of the judgments of other people? That spotlight's on you. Do you like it or not? You know, this is really about you understanding maybe your reputation a little bit more, or your place in your communities as well. How do you show up creatively, and is that accepted by the people in your life, or is it not? You know, there might be, again, Pluto is a very transformational energy. So that can be, again, big endings. I'm seeing for some people, this could be just like the end of friendships, the end of an era. Like in my life, we just last night had a closing chapter of Selenite Studio, which is a pole studio that I've been attending for the last 5 years. And that's a huge shift. That's a big community. And that business and that place has been, there's been a lot of change and shifts there. And now it's like that final, like, okay, the original space is now coming to a close. And yes, it's going to reopen in a different location, but that's going to offer so many different energies. It's you know, just a new start to something. So I'm really hopeful for it. I'm really excited, but it was also really, really bittersweet last night to, you know, say goodbye to this space that has housed and held so many beautiful memories for a lot of us. So, you know, I just feel like, for you, especially with that nodal shift, we're changing stories here. Our emphasis is really going to be about like, how do we express it as an individual while also being in community with others? These are the storylines that are really going to be playing out for the next year and a half. And also Pluto is going to be in Aquarius for a long time. It's going to be there until like the 2040s. So, you know, this is already kind of launched this energy of this transformation and things like that, but we're just going to be more emotionally connected to it because the moon is tied to this lunation. So just be open to transforming, be open to seeing truths, and also adjusting accordingly now that you have certain truths, or now that just things are really in your face. I'm just feeling like a very in your face energy for this lunation. And also just tapping into the beauty of these energies rather than feeling like they are taking away from you. The more that we can have an optimistic outlook on things, the more that actual like positive things will happen for us. And that's like a vibration that we attract in energy, and not saying that like just because something bad happens, like you attracted that because your vibrations weren't high enough. That's not at all what I'm saying, because sometimes things also just happen. We're not in control of everything. We're in a co-creation with the universe. So yes, we have free will, but also there's things that we can't control. Some people might call it fate. So just keep in mind, some things might be happening that are out of your control, but I really am feeling this as a beautiful energy for us to surrender what we can't control, but really take control in what we can. You know, that's a very Leo thing to do. We're in Leo season. It's like, I want this, I'm going to get it. I'm here. I, you know, believe in creation. I believe in my ability to show up. I believe in the drama of life and me playing the part that I'm supposed to make in this life, you know? So something to consider. I think that's all I want to talk about with this lunation. I'm really excited to just see how it continues to unfold. But those are the main energies. And of course, we've got some other stuff going on there, like Uranus and Gemini is also, it's sextiling the Leo energy, and it's also trining that Aquarian energy. So I just feel like a lot of communication is going to be coming up. It's going to be really great to communicate how you feel, especially coming out of this Mercury retrograde. We might have a little bit more clarity on like where we're going forward, because we just finished that review. So don't be surprised if things are shaken up, if things kind of come out of the blue, because Uranus is still playing a big role there. And Neptune as well. You know, we had Barbalt's basket that's happening at the time of this lunation. And, you know, this has a ripple effect. These are really big planetary energies, slower moving planets that are making these aspects. So essentially what that means is that these are like just bigger generational themes that are playing out. So this isn't, yes, it might be, these aspects might be exacting now, but it's going to have a ripple effect. Like we're not going to see the full picture until a little bit more time passes, especially with Neptune being in the mix. It's just the planet of illusions. And so we're not going to see things clearly. Things might, you know, Neptune is like the dream planet, and we can either have really beautiful dreams or we can have nightmares, right? So it's really up to us to understand, like, our perception of things is really important, and not to over catastrophize things, but also not to sugarcoat things. Because again, we just want to try our best to see the truth of things, but also use that dreamy energy to, again, dream big, dream of a world that we want to live in, and also participate in creating that, rather than just living in whatever nightmare you might be living in. A lot of messages that have been coming up for me in my collective readings, or not my collective readings, but in my readings with a bunch of people, is the Nine of Swords, which is a tarot card that's associated with nightmares, basically, and like keeping yourself up, losing sleep over overthinking. And also sometimes the things that we're overthinking about, they're not even our problems to figure out. So this is really about, like, let's get your sleep so then you can be a better problem solver when you're in the waking world. But just try to see whatever's transforming in your life, whether it's your community, the way that you express yourself, the way you communicate. There's so many different ways. Just really feel optimistic about it and try to see it like the glass half full rather than half empty. Because again, something might be taken from your life, but that can lead to the beautiful foundation of creating something that is this new chapter. Like I said, like, I was really surprised when Selenite Studio was closing. I had no idea. That was not something that I would ever imagine would happen, just because it's been such a staple in our community for the last 5 years. And now it's moving, so it's still alive, but it does, like, I'm just a very sentimental person, and so is a lot of people in that community. And so that shift just really awakened something in me that's like, I really need to get out there and be part of the studio more, because I haven't been going for personal reasons, you know, a bunch of different reasons. I need to dance more, and this is a community that I feel safe dancing in, so I need to go do that, you know? So again, some ending can really launch your perspective to understand what's truly important, what you truly desire, what you really need to prioritize. Okay, so that is the overall astrological energy that I would like to share for today. We're going to now move into the collective reading for, you know, just the general tarot cards of that. And, you know, we're actually going to start a little differently today. It is Aquarius after all. So Aquariuses like to do things differently. If you have Aquarius energy, please leave that in the comments. Or if you have Leo energy, I will accept that as well. Or if you have both, let me know. I personally have my Mercury in Aquarius, and I also have Uranus in Aquarius. So I love Aquarian energy. I think it's great. It can sometimes clash with my more watery Pisces energy, because that's just a little more soft, whereas Aquarius can be very detached. And so I have these qualities about me, like, where I feel so deeply and I'm in the emotion of everything, but also at the same time, I'm this Aquarian, like, when it's off, it's off. It really can feel like a light switch, where it's like really black and white, where it's like, it's fine. Or I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed with emotion, you know? So that's the nuance of how complex we as humans can be, and how complex our charts can be. So anyway, enough about me. Please tell me about you in the comments, because I want to know who's watching this. Maybe you also share your big three. We're going to start for the collective reading with this Bren deck. This is a deck that I curate myself. If you get a reading with me, you will get to take one of these bad boys home. But this is kind of like our good luck energy that I want to start with. And it's also going to be a message about the overall message that spirit, your higher self, or whatever guides have led you to this video want to tell you. So I'm just going to close my eyes. They're all different shapes, so they're not the easiest to shuffle, but we're going to just see, oh my gosh, what comes up. And one just fell in my lap, so I think that we're going to take that one, okay? Excuse me. Okay. Are you serious, Spirit? I can't with this. The card is from a deck called What's Your Sign? It's like a playing card. It's like a Cards Against Humanity game, but it's astrology based. And it says just ... at Hooters. ... at Hooters. I don't even know how to interpret that. No, of course I do, because I always get messages. But it's just kind of, I feel like the main thing that Spirit really wants to tell us is that, like, don't take things so seriously. I think some serious things might be happening right now. I mean, there's serious stuff happening all over the world all the time. And that can feel really devastating, really heavy, and overwhelming. And I feel like this card coming up is Spirit's way of just reminding us that things don't have to be so serious. You know, and even this video, like I do take my content creation, anything that I put out into the world, I do like to curate, and I do like to make sure it's of a certain standard, and I like to make sure, you know, but, you know, also, you can't be so perfectionistic that you never release something, because, you know, I messed up my words at the beginning of this video. I'm probably going to mess up later as well. And, you know, there's a lot of things that I could be concerned about with what I'm creating and also putting out there. But this, I think, is saying like the important thing is to create and put yourself out there. Another thing that came up with Hooters, and I don't know a lot about the restaurant. It's an American restaurant where they have very beautiful women who are more than likely well endowed in their chest area. This is a restaurant with these servers, you know. I'm pretty sure they are now rebranding to be more of a family-friendly restaurant. So I don't know what that necessarily means. I don't, again, know a lot about their business model or anything like that. But I feel like this is kind of going back to what I was saying in the part earlier, talking about how things can change. Like, even though this whole brand is about big-breasted women, basically, that's their brand, and chicken wings. That's the two things that I know about Hooters. It doesn't mean just because you've built your identity onto something, it doesn't mean that you have to keep that forever. You know, like, people's values change, people's desires change. So if we don't adapt also with that, and I don't know the success of this change for them either. They're taking a risk, but also maybe that's going to keep their business alive, because obviously they're making this shift for a reason. So the overarching theme for the entire collective during this time, especially the next 6 days, I'm going to say, at whatever time you're listening to this, is how to rebrand and not take things so seriously, and not pigeonhole ourselves into something just because that's how we've always done it. That's actually very Aquarian energy. Aquarian energy can be very stubborn because it's a fixed sign. Fixed signs are stubborn. But what Leo can kind of add to the energy of Aquarius is getting creative and thinking outside of the box and creating a drama of some kind and rebranding, you know, because life would be so boring if we never changed, and life would be so boring and, you know, less pleasant, honestly, if we didn't have challenges to build our strength. You know, what is the hero's journey without a challenge, and without overcoming a challenge, and without growing and learning? And I feel like that's what Spirit's really trying to tell us as a collective right now, and really don't take things so seriously. Also, if owl symbolism means something to you, because this is, you know, Hooters is, their logo is an owl. And owls symbolize wisdom in a lot of cultures. So, you know, what is your inner wisdom within your heart or your chest area, you know? That's also life-giving energy, you know? Like, when we think about breasts, the whole reason that we have them is to feed our young and to give nutrients. So, again, something that can maybe feel silly or feel charged in a certain kind of way also has a deeper meaning, and probably is, you know, there can be more than one purpose for something, you know? So anyway. All right, we're now going to move on to the Aquarian tarot deck. It's an Aquarius full moon. So, I mean, it would be so amiss if I didn't also honor that with this deck. So actually, I just want to talk about the energy of, oh my gosh, all the cards at the bottom are so interesting to me. I'm actually going to take those out, and I want to talk about them, and maybe we'll pull more cards. But we have the Strength card at the bottom, and that's the card associated with Leo. So again, that's just reiterating what I just said about, you know, we can only gain strength by doing our reps, and the only way we can do our reps is if we have some sort of you know, some sort of challenge. You know, we can only get stronger. You know, if we never had hard conversations, having a hard conversation might be really intimidating. But if we continuously have hard conversations, we feel more capable of being like, yes, this is a conversation that might be challenging, but I know, and I've proven to myself in the past that I can do it, and I can do it again. So that's why, Spirit, it seems like there's maybe some challenges that might be coming up for you at this time that is designed for you to gain your strength, or just recognize how far you've come, or understand how strong you really are. There's a saying that's, God only gives his biggest challenges to the toughest soldiers, or something like that, which I don't know how I entirely feel about that saying, but I think there's some value in that, which is just saying, like, you know, you might be presented with things that are hard, but also that you've been, everything that's happened before has prepared you for this moment. So really claim that power and that authority with pride, because also this specific deck, this strength card is very powerful. Like it's a masculine figure, has a lot of armor. There is a lot of flamboyance, but he's strong, you know, and he also seems a little older, which means, you know, he's got life experience under his belt, and he's still here. He's a fighter, but an older person who's been a fighter their whole life is probably pretty good at fighting, you know, because they've survived that long while going into battle how many times, because this person's older, you know. So I feel like this is just reminding you of your resilience, and that you're skilled in whatever way that's calling to you at this moment. And again, this is a collective reading as well, so maybe everyone's kind of going through a moment of understanding their strength. Or, you know, sometimes people also, through challenges, they feel weak, you know, or they might need to ask for help, or, you know, that not everyone is learning their lessons that they're here and meant to learn. So as long as you're here learning lessons, that you're doing great. You know, you're doing great. The people who are not learning their lessons and continuously repeat old patterns or behaviors without learning anything, they're the losers. You know, they're the people, those are the true weak people. And we can still love those people for sure. I know that I love some people who continuously self-sabotage and things like that. Doesn't mean that I, you know, hang out with them all the time. I can love them from a distance, you know, because it's like, I'm on a journey of growth. And if you don't want to go on that journey, that's completely up to you. But also, I can't be pulled down or weighted down by people who, I can't be strong enough for myself and someone who's dragging their feet. You know, if you're picking up the step, I'm happy to help you, but you can't really help someone who doesn't want to be helped. So that message came through. All right, we also have the Six of Cups, which is one of my favorite cards of all time, because it's just about like childlike wonder, happiness, emotional fulfillment in certain capacities, and also just understanding that the good old days are right here and right now. That's what this card tells me. So this is just really about enjoying where you're at this moment. And we also, the last card that had come out was the Magician, and this is about you creating the life that you desire, and it is a year of the Magician. So it's like, hey, this is the year that the magic's happening. Trust your strength, trust also the loyalty to your own strength, and being loyal to the people who have also helped you build that strength and who continue to help fortify that, because also Six of Cups is a very much like sharing energy, and especially emotionally, being vulnerable with people, but knowing that certain people who we trust can hold those emotions in a well way, and together you can, from that fortitude that you build through those two energies, that's where the magic happens. So just don't deny your magic, and lean on the people that you can trust, and just understand all the strength that you've already built in this moment. And again, this is the collective reading, so I'm saying it towards you, but also this could be relative to someone else as well, or in the entire collective's understanding our power, or the lack thereof through the Strength card, understanding who our true community is. Also, there's going to be hard times all the time. There's always going to be something that we can nitpick, but this is really reminding us that even through any challenges or difficulties, these are still the good old days. There's something about this time frame that, like, we really should be smelling the roses and appreciating the beauty, rather than focusing too much on the negative, because again, the negative will always be there. So this is kind of like the moment of being grateful and gratitude, and that's where, again, the magic happens. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So now I'm going to be drawing a card from this Mother Piece tarot deck. And so we actually have 2 tarot decks today. Usually I pick like a tarot deck and an oracle deck, but today these are both my Aquarian decks, because this Mother Peace Tarot deck I actually got on last year's Aquarius new moon. I think that would be then January or February 2025. So anyway, it's just infused with that like Aquarian energy. So I wanted to bring that in for today's reading. And the card that came out for this one is the World. We've got a lot of major arcana energy going on, which really just helps me reiterate that this, whatever eclipse energy that we're moving through right now, it's very profound. Like, again, the next eclipse doesn't happen for another 2 weeks, but this is the portal that's kind of opening it. And this is like, Spirit's way of saying, hey, pay attention, because we've got a lot of majors in play. We've got a lot of karmic energy that's shifting, and things are kind of moving into place. Gears are shifting. And so this is just reminding you, like the World card is saying really that it's time for celebration. I think of this as like a graduation card. It's like you've been through all of that. You've been through this whole past phase of the lunar story that's been playing out between the nodes of Pisces North Node and then the Virgo South Node, and we're shifting now. So lean on that, the graduation of all the knowledge and all the wisdom that you've built for your entire lifetime, really, but especially the last year and a half of that story playing out, in order to guide you into this new territory of this Aquarian. We're trying to embrace more Aquarian energy. Pluto's there right now, and that's very transformational, and that can be uncomfortable. Change is uncomfortable for humans, and probably for many living beings, because it dysregulates our nervous system. Even if it's good change, like buying a new house or having a baby, that can be very exciting in a very positive way, but also it's changing your life forever. So that could be very profoundly dysregulating. So this is just reminding you that stability lies within you. And we're really understanding our role within the world as a whole. Like, we all are making decisions to be part of this global collective. Even if you're just making decisions within your immediate community, your decisions can impact everyone. It's the butterfly effect. We all have influence in this game we call life. So don't forget your influence. That's really what this is saying. And some people might experience the world as like they feel like the weight of the world on their shoulders, but also we can liberate ourselves by also knowing, yes, we impact the world, and also everyone's playing a part. So we don't have to feel all the pressure on ourselves because everyone's playing a part, and yes, some people are playing a part that you don't like to see, but that's when we just want to show it more authentically and encourage people, like-minded people, to continue to show up. So then we see more of a world that we want to live in rather than a world that we don't. And there's just a lot of celebration in this card too. There's like dancing and connection. So just keep in mind that sometimes the best way we heal the world is through dance, or through self-healing, and through just connection with people. It doesn't have to be this whole thing, like this whole campaign to save the earth, although that can definitely be part of it too. But we just don't want to burn you out. We want because in this card, there's like an eternal flame. It's a torch. So this is just reminding you that it's better for you to be around a long time than burn out sooner, so stay, what was I going to say? Yeah, it's a sustainability act that you're doing. You can serve more if you're sustainable. And if that means you need to take a day to watch Netflix all day so you're recharged to do whatever, it's like, do it. Don't feel guilty over replenishing yourself or doing what you need to do in order to have the strength to continue your journey in a very powerful and strong way that is aligned with you and your magic, you and your unique magic. Because there's only one of you. We're all unique here. So anyway, that will conclude the overall reading for now. So we're going to go into the choose a pile portion of this video. So we have 2 options here. We've got Sunstone sphere, and we also have Pyrite sphere. So if you want to take a look at the Sunstone sphere, This is going to be pile number 1. So if you're attracted to this energy, you're going to choose pile 1. And here's the Pyrite sphere. This is going to be pile number 2. So if this resonates more with you, you are welcome to choose pile number 2. Or if you really can't decide between both, you are welcome to listen to both. So without further ado, we're going to start with Sunstone. You are a pile number 1 if you selected this spherical sunstone. And the reason I picked this today is because it's been super hot where I'm at. It's Leo season. It's the middle of summer. So this is just really embodying, like, what does my world revolve around? How do I uniquely express, like, what is my heat? What is my passion? What is my life force trying to get across at this moment? So this sphere is also a little bit more uniform than the other sphere. The Pyrite sphere has some holes and things in it, which is very unique and beautiful, but this just seems a little bit more smooth. So I feel like if you're looking for a little bit more smooth sailing, really getting embodied with what your world is supposed to revolve around. And the best way that we can understand that is looking at our sun sign. A lot of people, you know, like, I'm a Pisces, right? So my world revolves around that Pisces nature of empathy and us all being collective, us all being one, and sometimes even the woo-woo spiritual space. That's kind of a Pisces kind of energy. But I'm also very Aries and other signs as well. So again, I'm not just, my world revolves around that. And I'm also other things as well. So I would look at maybe your sun sign and really getting clear of, like, okay, my sun is in Taurus. That means pleasure is important to me. Me enjoying the earth, me being grounded, all of those things are very important to me. And sometimes also having the finer things in life, nice foods, those kinds of things. That's what your world revolves around. And then you want to take that deeper and then look at the house that's in. So say you have a Taurus, let's say 7th house. Okay. So that would mean that your world, yes, revolves around this peaceful Taurian energy, but in regards to your relationships, right? So, I really understanding your sun sign could be really helpful for you. And if you don't know a lot about astrology and you're like, well, I don't know what all that means, feel free to leave a comment and I'd be happy to help you identify some more about that. And in order to get your houses, you need to know your rising sign, which means that you need to know your exact birth time and the place of birth. You can look this all up online for free. But again, if you need more assistance with that, I'd be happy to help you in the comments. Okay. But anyway, I'm just really feeling us being, for pile number 1s, it's really important for us to understand what our worlds revolve around and to accept that that is for us our truth, and that is our journey and our path, and not getting distracted by, like, someone else that might have a different journey and their world might revolve around something completely different. Their energies might be different, right? So we're now going to move on to drawing some cards. I really like maybe drawing the special Bren card first. So I'm going to just, we're going to get the overall energy and message that Spirit wants to share with you first, and we'll get some clarifiers with the other decks. And we've got this plastic card. So the cards are usually paper. So this one's plastic. It's very hard. It's durable. You can't tear this card. And it's a Casa Bonita card. So Casa Bonita, for those of you who don't know, it's a very famous restaurant in Denver, Colorado, known for its entertainment. There's cliff divers in this restaurant. There's also entertainers. Like myself, I work there. I'm a tarot reader there. So they have puppet shows. It's a very Leo place, honestly, because there's performance, it's expressive, and it's a lot. There's a lot of people that go. There's a lot of stimulation, right? So, and there's often a lot of people there as well. So it can feel like overwhelming to some, but some people really thrive in that environment because they're like, yes, all the energies, I'm fueled by that. A lot of extroverted, people can often be fueled by being around a lot of people, whereas more introverted people might be like, wow, this is a literal hellscape for me. So I'm feeling so drained after my experience there. And I am probably more like that. Like, I love going there because it is exciting and I love giving readings to people. It's one of my best, favorite jobs that I've ever had. And also it can just feel very draining because it's very fast paced, and there's a lot of energies there. So it requires a lot of, especially with such a sensitive person as myself, a lot of protection. So this is a game card as well. So this is really, I feel like the overall message for pile number ones is to understand what your stability is. Like, where I really feel like this group is just really understanding who you are. That's going back to this sun thing. It's like you might be different than your entire family, and that can be hard because your entire, like, everyone around you is kind of telling you to be one way, but you're this black sheep and you're like, I just need to be at home reading a book. Like, I don't want to go out to that concert. I don't like find fulfillment at parties, you know? And like some people can make you feel bad about that, where it's like, aren't you living your life? Like, you know, you can't live life at home. Whereas like, if for you, maybe you do love that. That's how you recharge. That's how you can actually show up as a better citizen of the global community, is by making sure you're rested. And maybe you just participate a lot more online rather than in person. That's totally valid and fine. As long as you feel healthy and that's aligned with you. This is also very pink, and pink is associated with that heart chakra. So this is really about understanding and letting your heart lead you. And also this is about getting creative. I feel like this group has a lot of creative beauty to share with this world and inspire others. So don't dim that light, because that's what we need in order to lead us to the future. So again, there's a lot of durability with this group. And I feel like this group definitely can probably relate to the overall message of the first reading that we did, or the collective reading, which is just really know thyself. Knowing thyself is a true art form. And the more that we know ourselves, the more that we can live our lives consciously and without shame. So this is really, I feel like group number one is really going to be uncovering some things that what really truly brings you joy. What creative endeavors make you feel alive and purposeful. Purpose seems really important for this group. Finding your purpose. And also it doesn't have to be your like huge life purpose. It's your purpose of right here and right now, because a lot of us go through a lot of transformations. So our purpose that we might have now might be completely different than the one that we had 10 years ago, or the one that we'll have 20 years from now. Like I used to be, I worked for the government. That wasn't really my purpose back then even, but now I'm a tarot reader, you know, like I never thought back then that this would be where I'm at. Like this is so purposeful to me now. And you know, there might be a day that comes around where I'm like, I don't really care about this anymore. You know, I hope that day never comes, because I just love this work so much. But also I have to be open to understanding that I could change, you know, because I've changed many times before. And that also is because I was put into boxes that in my society and in our society that were not conducive to who I was. So I had to do a lot of unbreaking and unlearning. But, you know, I do feel like I know myself more now, but also than who I am in 10 years, like you just never know who you may become. So just keeping an open mind of like, what is your purpose right here and right now? And understanding that that could be just really different from where you've been or where you're going. It's just really about focusing right here and right now. Okay. So 2 cards flew out when I was talking about that. We have the Ace of Swords, and this actually came out like this. It came out on its side. And I don't always read, I don't even always read reversals. I don't always read like side to side kind of energy, but this seems important because how it fell out was kind of like a cross. Okay. And now I'm looking at the card in the back, and it's a 9 of Cups upright, which is one of my favorite cards. So I say that a lot, but I honestly just love tarot so much because it just feels relatable. It's like tarot speaks on things like our life experience, whether it's a lovely life experience or a more harder one. You know, I'm an optimist forever and ever, but you know, I just feel like this gives language to our life experiences. So anyway, we'll just continue here. The Ace of Swords on its side like this, I really see this as facing, well, it's actually forward facing because the text itself is facing to the future, but the sword itself is actually facing to the past. So I'm just feeling like this is like the moment for you that we're really connecting the worlds of where you've been. Now you're in a place where you're merging where you're going with where you've been. Like this is like the merging point. This is that checkpoint. And especially when it comes to your mind, it seems like the connections are being made within your mind, where it's like, okay, I used to always think of things like this, and I always wanted this, and I just never knew how to get there. This might be that moment of understanding, like things are kind of falling into place in a way that I finally understand why I had to go through my past experiences in order to be where I'm at now. Like going back to the work thing, for me, I worked for the government really for a paycheck, and also it looks good on a resume. Was I passionate about it? No. Did I believe in what I was doing? Not really, actually. I mean, I didn't not believe in it necessarily. It didn't go against my values entirely, but it wasn't something I was passionate about. I also worked in a hospital for a while, and it's like, again, that's not what I was passionate about necessarily, but it allowed me to gain certain life experiences in order for me to be a better reader for where I'm at now. So yes, those things were not really aligned with what I feel like is my ultimate purpose in this life, but it got me there. And I feel like this is the moment of that connecting point where you're understanding, like, oh, I went through those hardships so then I could be a better therapist, or, oh, I went through that so then I could be where I'm at now, which is now opening a door or a portal into where I want to be. So just understanding that there's a new beginning here, and it's connecting. It has to do with where you've come from and where you're going. We got to stay present. That's what Spirit's really wanting us to do, but also connecting the past and the future. That's kind of happening right now. We're in completely different eras. I feel like for a lot of us, we're not just closing a chapter, we're closing an entire book. And it's like, okay, we're going to be writing a whole new book. We're opening a whole new book that could be, like, who knows, like what could happen between series 1 and series 2, you know? So that's kind of up to you to decide with whatever you're given at this moment. How are you going to now carve the path forward for yourself? It feels really profound, honestly, this energy. It's like a big moment. I feel like this moment will be very memorable for you. Maybe not exactly the day-to-day that you're going through, but you're going to be like, oh yeah, like it was around this time where I really started realizing I'm not happy at my job and I need to move. Like, now's the time. I just got to do it. Or, you know, I feel like connections are being made. So use this power wisely. Ace of Swords, I think, is one of the more powerful sword cards just because it's a single sword. It's a lot easier to manage one sword than more than that, right? So I just feel like for you, now's your time to really take your power. You're not overdoing it. It's simple. It doesn't have to be so complicated. I see a lot of, I feel like this group will really need to have a practice of some kind about like either talking voice memos or journaling, writing things down, because I feel like you're going to be getting a lot of aha moments or clarity moments where you're like, whoa, I had no idea. And you don't want to lose that. And you also don't want to lose the like, even when you look back someday on, like, you're going to want to understand, like, what were you moving through at that time? And so having a record of your thought process or your, like, things coming together, you're going to want a record of that in some way. So whether that's voice memos, taking notes, processing through journaling. I honestly think journaling is like probably the number one thing for this group. But again, work with your learning style, work with what your style is, but things on paper, writing it on paper. You can leave a text note in your phone as well, but I'm really seeing, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword. Okay. Write things down. Write things down. They keep saying that, write things down. So also maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to like talk about your life experience. I don't know, but they're saying write things down, whatever that means to you. Again, like if you've always wanted to write a children's book and I'm telling you write things down, maybe this is your sign. Like you need to start now if you haven't already, or now's the time to get serious about looking for a publisher or self-publishing, whatever it is. Now's the time. Now. Spirit's kind of annoying me, honestly, because they're like, it's time to write now. It's time to write now. It's time to write now. It's like, okay, I get it. It's really repetitive and annoying, honestly, but sometimes repetition is what helps us learn and remember. So, all right. As we talked about, the Nine of Cups is what's underneath that. Nine of Cups is fulfillment. This is a fulfillment card because, you know, a lot of people like to glamorize the Ten of Cups, including me. I love the Ten of Cups. That's the happily ever after. Who doesn't want that? Especially a Pisces daydreamer like me, right? But it is a stage card, which means that it's more of like a manufacturing of a happily ever after than like a true happily ever after. I like to think of the Nine of Cups as a true happily ever after, just because it's more realistic. This is a 9 out of 10. A 10 out of 10 seems impossible in a way, where it's like, you know, everything's perfect. The whole world is working in your favor. Like, everyone's healthy. There's no problems. That's the 10 of Cups, in my opinion. And that's just not realistic. That is the fantasy world that I live in, that I want. But also, there's always going to be something that just might not be right, you know? Maybe you have a great home life and everything around you and your personal life is great, but there's also war going on across the world, and that can't really be ignored, you know? So the Nine of Cups just kind of reminds us that there's a lot going for us, and it's really easy for us to focus in on like what's not going like right or whatever. But this is really a card of gratitude and reminding us that we've got a lot going for us right here and right now, even if not everything's perfect or not everything is right in line. So I hope that was clear how I verbalized that. But basically with these two cards working in tandem, it's like, make sure you're paving the way in your own mind space. Like, you're really living so much in your head a lot of the time. How you perceive things is your reality. So let's make sure we are paving the groundwork for a brighter life by appreciating and having a gratitude practice that really understands how far we've come, what we truly have in this moment, and knowing that nothing will ever be truly perfect, but perfection really does lie in the imperfection. And I feel like that's what this card's talking about. So really bonding the way that we're thinking about things with our emotions and making sure that they're connected in a way that is empowering rather than diminishing or things like that. Okay, we're going to draw one more card from the Aquarian Tarot deck. I love the little circle of this deck. It's just a very, what's it called? It's satisfying to hold. Like, I don't have to worry about, like, with a square, like, deck, it's a very, you have to keep them all in one way. But for this one, they're all round. So if they move around a little bit, you can just put them back together. So I feel like there's some smoothness here. Okay, we've got a card that's come out, and it is the Priestess of Cups. I'm assuming this is the High Priestess, but no. This actually, I think in this deck would be like the Jack of Cups or maybe a Knight of Cups, but it's more of a feminine take on those energies. So I love this imagery because there's like a tower in the background and a cloud. And so I usually think of like a tower. The tower card is pretty intense, but this tower is in the clouds, and it actually seems really ethereal and a nice place to be. It seems like solitude. And like for me, I love solitude. Like, probably too much in a way. I definitely need my people for sure. I leave the house. I've gotta. And I have many communities that I'm a part of. But my solace is also retreating into my castle, into my fantasy land, and making sure I understand my energies apart from others. Because this is a cups energy, and you can see this like priestess figure. She's in the water. And when we're talking about water, again, like that's something we all share. We all are drinking from like the same water. Like it's from the same earth. So also water is associated with when she's like a mermaid and she's holding a harp. There's so much going on here, and the sun's peeking out from the clouds. I feel like there's an illumination of some sort of intuitive truth for you. So when we're in a body of water, I'm thinking of us like in the ocean or in a pool or something. That's water that we share with other people. And so when we're sharing emotional waters with people, we can be compassionate, because like say a friend is telling us about a hardship they've been through, like we can be like, oh my gosh, I care about you so much and I feel your pain, like I just want to help you, right? But sometimes we also need to understand like when to be in that water, with people and when to not, when to be in the clouds, or maybe more so like just isolated, or like have boundaries with that, because we can't be taking on everyone's energies all the time. And I think that goes back to the Casa Bonita card as well, where it's like at Casa Bonita, there's so many people there, and I'm in the waters with everyone else because I'm there, and I'm a very sensitive person. So I'm picking up on everyone's energies, and it can be super draining, right? So when I'm at work for those few hours or whatever that I'm working, I can be in that water. I'm in the water with everyone else. But when I leave, that's when I retreat. And usually after a shift at Casa Bonita, I need to spend time alone. Like I need to be at home. I need to recalibrate, because that was so overwhelming to be sharing these emotional waters with so many people and these energies with so many people that I really don't even know, that I need to be back in my safe zone and recalibrate and be like, okay, what's mine versus what did I pick up from other people? So I feel like for you all, like this is really about, and you know what's so funny is that I didn't realize this. I'm going to cover it just because I don't want to get censored here on YouTube. But this priestess has her breasts out. And if we remember from the collective reading, we were talking about Hooters. So I really feel like this is also about the vulnerability of like, sometimes we do need to be vulnerable with people and be honest with how we feel. And also just realize that sometimes that honesty can like give nutrients, right? But just because you offer your breast to a baby doesn't mean that they're going to suckle from it. So just understand that you might like reach your arm out in order to help someone, be like, hey, I have these nutrients, or hey, I have a truth emotionally that I want to share with you, or hey, I want to share, this emotional space with you. Just because you might be rejected doesn't mean that you were wrong for offering that. The baby, again, in this metaphor that we're talking about, really needs that life force in order to survive. But maybe the baby needs formula because they're just not latching. That doesn't make someone a bad mother because the baby won't latch to the breast. There's a lot of reasons why that can happen. Or, so this is just reminding all of us that we're all in this together. Trust your emotions. And I do see this group especially needing to have some emotional vulnerability with someone. And it can be really scary, because you're offering something, you're being really, I'm honestly seeing someone offering like themselves, like maybe you feel something under the surface with someone, like, hey, I feel like there's a connection between us. There's a chemistry between us, and I'm feeling it, and I need to know if you're feeling it too. And that could be super vulnerable, because that person could say, no, I don't feel it. And you know how like terrible that would maybe feel, but I feel like there's something within that it's better for you to just say it too, because then you're not in the clouds. It's like, hey, I want to be grounded in this connection with this person. So I need to be honest about like, hey, I'm feeling something. I don't know what it is. Or, hey, I'm feeling something. I'm feeling a chemistry, or whatever it is. Just saying it is going to relieve you, because then at least you know the truth. And also, you never know, some people come around later too. Someone might be like, no, I don't feel that. But then a month from then, they're like, hey, I actually was considering what you said, and I actually understand completely what you're saying now, and I feel it. So this is just saying like, your vulnerability is really your strength. I'm seeing a lot of water for this group. So really getting in touch with your emotions, maybe literally interacting with water in a sacred way, whether that's going to the pool to swim, taking mindful showers, infusing your beverages with Reiki. I've got to talk to you all about Reiki, because, oh my gosh, I am in my level 2 Reiki training right now. And yesterday we had our nice, like, big course in that. And I was learning about the symbols of Reiki, and I actually did Reiki on this video. So I'm really excited to see like how, well, and I actually have done Reiki on my videos before, but with the symbols specifically, I've done for this video. And what's really interesting is in this card, you see this pool of water in that spiral. And my Reiki teacher, David, would be not happy that I'm not remembering the name. It's like, oh, I don't remember, but it looks a lot like that symbol. I'm going to have it in the show notes probably, because that is embarrassing. I literally learned them all yesterday. Anyway, it's okay. But I just feel like for this group too, really getting in tune with like spiritual practices that resonate with you. It doesn't necessarily have to be Reiki, although if you're feeling called to getting a Reiki session, this could be really helpful for you. And I'll even, again, do a little bit of Reiki, sending it your way. That's just amplifying the healing energy, so you can feel supported in that. But overall, the message, this is just a really powerful energy, honestly. Maybe you also look up the High Priestess. If you have your own tarot deck at home, you can pull out her energy and just connect with her. And maybe also the Jack of Cups, or the Jack of Cups, the Page of Cups. Just to meditate on those two energies, really learning emotionally and also being vulnerable in a safe way. You know, because music also could be very helpful as well. But I just see a lot of clarity coming, like, you know, instead of just having things under the surface by just saying, like, again, I'm seeing for this group, like, you have a person in your life, or maybe a group of people, whatever, that you really want to share a truth with, but you're scared because it's vulnerable. And this is saying, like, yes, have your boundaries, but also it's time to just share that truth, because it's better for you to just know than living in a fantasy. I feel like you can get carried away, especially when you feel a chemistry with someone and you build it up to be this whole thing in your head. And then you have a further way to fall if you build something up that might not even really be there. So you might as well just ask and be direct and be like, hey, I'm feeling this energy. Are you? Am I, you know, because this can be really closely, like, you're picking up on something, but it could be really easy to have that Delulu energy. I'm also feeling like the Moon card, where it's like your intuition's right, like, all the time. But what we assign meaning to it is not always right. So we have to be aware of the illusions that we sometimes give ourselves. So trust the way you feel, and also don't entirely keep that in. You know, you don't want to, like, put all your emotions onto someone else, but especially if it's someone who cares about you and who can hold certain truths, I would be honest. And you might be surprised by how much fruit comes from that. And again, going back to the beginning, it's not that serious as well. You know, like, we're going to go through moments of, like, feeling cringe or feeling whatever, but, like, whatever it is, it's not going to stay with you forever, I don't feel like. And it's something that you can learn and grow from. And again, we're connecting worlds. We're connecting the past with your present, with your future. Like, that's a big task. That's a big energy, a big moment for you. So I'm really honestly excited for this group, because I feel like if you're honest emotionally and you communicate honestly and kindly and compassionately and directly as well, that's where this fulfillment's coming in. So, and sustained fulfillment. I'm excited for you. I really am. But again, I think it's going to take some bravery. And also not holding on to certain expectations. Because you might, again, especially if you're a fantastical person, a dreamy person like me, you can get carried away with the fantasy and then be disappointed because nothing's ever going to meet the fantasy that you've created. But a lot of the fantasy parts could be true. So just keep an open mind. Don't have too many expectations, but also just be direct and honest about what you want and how you feel. Okay. Those are the messages that I have for you, pile number ones. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you liked this reading, please like, share, subscribe. Definitely share it with a friend who might resonate with some of these messages. Also, I have so many videos now on my page, so you can share, like, you know, say you have a Virgo friend, you can share a Virgo video with them, or, you know, whatever it is. Please, just, if your intuition is speaking to you to share, please do. And if you want a personal reading with me, one-on-one, getting more into depth about your own personal life, let's do that. We can do that. You can book a reading with me at fortuneofthefool.com, either in person or online. There's more information in the show notes on how you can do that. So thank you, pile number ones. See you next time. All right, now we're going to move on to pile number twos. You are a pile number two if you picked this beautiful Pyrite sphere. Now, I would say that I probably resonate with Pyrite more than any crystal, which is crazy. At least lately, I love all my crystals, okay? I'm a crystal bae. I almost cursed there, but I didn't, okay? This is YouTube. We can't do that here, apparently. Or maybe that word's fine. I don't know. But anyway, see my Pyrite. I got my Pyrite always on lock. So anyway, This is a pyrite sphere, and it's really smooth in a lot of ways, but it also has little pockets of like crystals, I guess, within it. And so I feel like this is understanding. Also, pyrite symbolizes prosperity. It is fool's gold, so I also like to think of it as something that might, I don't know, I feel like the foolish energy, I mean, obviously you're unfortunately the fool here. I love fool's gold in the sense that it's not real gold, right? But just because it's not real gold doesn't mean that it doesn't have value, you know? So I feel like this is about us finding value in the imperfection. I think that this crystal, the reason I got this crystal was because of its imperfections. So I feel like this is really us understanding the beauty of the imperfections in life and understanding that that actually can make things more rich and beautiful. Because honestly, the polished parts are the least beautiful part, in my opinion, of this crystal. You know, I like it. It's a sphere, love that. But also it's the glittery parts, like honestly, like the buffing out of the crystal, I can see myself in it, which is cool, but it also makes it more dull. So I would say, like, for this group, a message that's coming through is just to not over polish something. Sometimes it's better to just get it out there and be done rather than be too perfectionistic about something. And I'm really feeling this Leo energy for this group, especially for like our creatives in this group. So if you are wanting to be a content creator, for example, but you just can't bring yourself to post a video, like, I totally resonate with you. I totally do, because it's taken me already. I've had many eras of making content and putting myself out there on the internet, but recently especially, it's really hard because I want to be perceived a certain way, and I have like a specific kind of vision for how I want people to perceive me or how I want my work to look. But at the end of the day, I am not perfect. So a lot of my content is not going to be perfect. And I like to shoot my videos in one take because it makes my life so much easier. I am not going to spend my time editing. I used to spend a lot of my time doing that in other projects, and it's just not how I want to spend my time. So I have had to kind of come to terms with, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to say things that I'm going to trip up, and I'm going to show up imperfectly a lot of ways, but I've got to just keep going. That's what the beauty of me showing up is as well, because I'm hoping also to inspire other people to show up, whether it's perfect or not. Like, it's not going to be that perfect idealized way, you know? So just show up. That's what I'm really feeling for this group. And also just recognizing your unique beauty. You know, this crystal, cannot be replicated. Like, no way. You can make another pyrite sphere for sure, but is it going to have all the same crevices and cracks and like sparkles? No, it's not. So I feel like this is really about understanding your power and knowing that your wealth is your uniqueness. It's not about money all the time. I mean, money, that's deceiving. That's the true fool's gold, honestly, is like us thinking that money is everything. That's a manufactured thing. At the end of the day, it's just a number. It's a piece of paper. And yes, it can afford us certain things. And I care about money. Don't worry. I do. It's just, I feel like what Spirit's really trying to emphasize is that you have a lot of wealth that is not money based. It's your talents. It's your gifts. It's your uniqueness. It's the communities that you've cultivated. It's a lot of things. So just really understand that you are a wealthy person, even if you don't have a lot of money. Okay. All right. We're now going to move on to selecting a good luck card for you. This is going to be your good luck card / what Spirit really wants to tell you in this reading. Like, what's the overarching theme? I'm going to just close my eyes and see what comes out. Okay. Okay. And we've got this photo strip. I'm going to come a little closer so you can see this fun little photo strip. So I got this at Musée, what is it called? Oh, I forget. Musée Mécanique. Musée Mécanique. It is a really cool place in San Francisco where it's like on a pier, and it has all of these different mechanical items, like a photo booth, or like a typewriting machine that will give you a fortune, or it's like the coolest. It's like one of my favorite places ever, because it's just really cool to look at this museum and interact with this museum of old timey, like machines that like are meant to entertain and things like that. And so this I actually got from, they had a really cool old-timey photo booth there, and literally when it prints your photo, it's like wet. It's really cool. And so it takes a really long time to develop because it's so old that a lot of people leave their photo strips behind because they are like, oh, I guess it didn't work or whatever. Or maybe they wanted to leave it behind. But anyway, they had a vending machine there that collected photo strips from like decades of that photo booth being there, and it came in like a little strip of, you know, a collection of all these photo strips. So I bought that, and I this is just half of a full strip of the reprinted photo strips that they collected there. So anyway, all that to say is like, this is a memory, a snapshot in time, and these are strangers, but like they live on. They live on through this photo. And, you know, there's like a little kid in this, and it's like that little kid's probably a grown up and like maybe even having kids of their own and things like that. And I feel like this is just really about cherishing the moments that we have when they're here. And that actually sounds a lot like pile one's reading, honestly, which is really about being present. And I feel like that actually was the collective reading as well. So that really makes sense. But I really feel like for this group is capturing memories. Honestly, this really feels like this Six of Cups energy from the collective reading, where it's like, you know, this is a moment in time that we can't reproduce. Kind of like going back to this Pyrite thing. It's like your life as it is right now is very unique to now. So appreciate it for what it is, and maybe capture those beautiful moments. Make sure you take pictures with loved ones and remember, because there's going to be a day where this moment's going to be gone. And you're going to look back and you're going to want to reminisce. And you're going to be like, remember those days when we did that and this and that? And, you know, it's so funny because last night I went to a going away party, or a closing party for the Selenite studio, this pole studio. I think I told you from the beginning. And we were sharing memories about how Nico, the owner and one of my really good friends, it was her birthday, and we had all gotten her a cake, and we're all dancers, right? So she's like, okay, I want to dance with my cake. And she's trying to like dance with this cake with her. She's trying to dance with the cake, and the cake falls to the ground. Like, we ate the cake off the ground. And in the moment that happened, I remember thinking like, oh, Nico, like, of course that would have happened. Like, you're dancing one-handed with a heavy cake, and you're in heels and all this kind of stuff, right? And so in the moment, I was like, I knew it was gonna happen, but I also, I don't know, I don't want to say I was judgmental in the moment. It was just more like, why even risk it? Why risk a cake? Like, because it was just kind of inevitable, right? But then, yeah, last night when we were sharing that memory together, we all were laughing, and it was such a beautiful memory. It was just so fun to think back. So it was like, why did the cake matter, honestly, in that, like, why did it matter that it was perfect? And we did still get to eat the cake. Like, it was fine. Like, yeah, we couldn't eat the part that had touched the floor, but it was a memory that we all could just eat off the floor, this cake. And it was just such a beautiful memory. So I just feel like there might be moments where it's like, dang, I don't want to clean that up. Like, why would you do that? You know, kind of thing, where it's like, actually, that might be the fun memory that we talk about years later because it was so fun and exciting and memorable. You know, so I feel like there's just that energy of just really understanding that sometimes the most inconvenient things, or things that we kind of wanted to prevent happen, end up being like the way that we bond with each other. So I just see a lot of nostalgic energy with this, and also looking into the past and appreciating all those beautiful moments, because life is meant to be enjoyed. And so really leaning into that, and who in your life is adding to the magic of your experience, right? And Nico, that person, I don't see her a lot. I don't see her a lot, but she's still one of my good friends, and I still like will always support her and root for her, you know? So just to also understand that you can love and care about someone without having to be in their lives 24/7. But maybe this is your reminder to be like, hey, remember that friend who you haven't talked to in a while and you still care about? Maybe reach out to them, because you just never know. And I'm going to bring up something kind of sad, just because you just never know when people will not be in your life anymore. You know, was really lucky enough to reconnect with an old classmate of mine. His name's Jack. And he and I hadn't seen each other since high school, or like, you know, shortly after high school. And it was like a few years after that. I think I was 25 at the time. He was 26. And it was just so serendipitous that we got to connect. And I really enjoyed, you know, learning about where he was in his life at that point. And, you know, there's just certain people in my, like, I grew up with that guy, you know? And so I will always have certain love for people, even if we're not, like, our paths bring us apart. It's like the love's still there. I still want success and happiness for that person. And I was really lucky that I got to see him, and we actually got a photo together, like just a few months before he died. So, the world works in mysterious ways, but I still think about him, and we were not that close. We grew up together, and that was meaningful to me, but it was just really meaningful to me to have this last moment with him, and a final photo, like the most recent photo that I could have had with him before he passed away. So I am getting a little emotional just because he passed away so soon. Like, it was just like, he was so young, and it was heartbreaking to experience that. But again, that's the power of photos. That's the power of memories. That's the power of appreciating what we have when we have it, because everything's temporary. Nothing's guaranteed. So just keep that in mind. We love you, Jack. Yeah, I'm really sad about that still. He died like, it must have been at least 5 years ago at this point. Yeah. So sad. Not to bring down the energy, but like, we got to be realistic. Like, when people die, we also understand what is of true value. So through loss, whether that's a loss of a job or loss of a home or loss of a friend, a family member, whatever, that's how we get that wake up call as well, to be like, wow, life is fleeting, and it's, yeah, we just got to appreciate it while it's here, because none of us really truly know how long it'll last for any of us. So that makes it more valuable. The tarot card I picked from the Mother Peace Tarot guidebook is the Nine of Wands reversed. And this card has a lot of nudity. Unfortunately, I'm just going to cover it up. I don't think nudity is a bad thing at all, but you know how YouTube is. So I'm just going to show what I can of it. But it's this nude figure sitting cross-legged, surrounded by all these flames. And they actually look kind of like dynamite sticks. And this person's tired. This person looks pretty tired. And the Nine of Wands is symbolic of resilience and hardship. A lot of the time it's like, dang, I'm tired. I've been working. Like, when's the end? It's approaching the end, but it's not quite there yet. So I feel like, and this also came in reversed. And so how I'm feeling like this I think is going to come into different messages for different people who are watching this. For some of you, it might be more about like, you really needing to regulate and take care of yourself and not burn out. Like, you're really close to burnout, or you are burnt out, and addressing that is your number one priority. Please do that, because we need you. Again, like longevity, I think that was part of the collective reading at the beginning. It's like, it's not about doing it fast. It's not like live fast, die young energy. No. We want you to be around for a longer time, so then you can do more. So if you need to step back in certain ways, this is your message saying you should. And then for other people, I feel like this is really telling you that you are really close to the end of something. You just need to push through. And additionally, this is kind of a sign that this is near the end of your hardship. So you can, and maybe you can claim both messages as well. I think it'll be different for everyone. And again, just remind yourself that for readings like this, any tarot collective reading or whatever online, just make sure that you are trusting your intuition and not putting too much weight into what we say. Because again, what I'm doing is tapping into the collective of whoever chooses these cards, and yes, or chooses this pile. And yes, it should be relevant to you, but sometimes certain things are for certain people and other things are not, you know? So there could be one message for one person in this. Don't claim something that doesn't feel true to you. Okay. So anyway, but I just do feel like it seems like dynamite. It seems like something's like about to explode. So if you want something to explode, you know, I'm thinking about Minecraft actually. If you've played Minecraft before, like there's the creepers, I think they're called, where if you get too close to them or whatever, they'll explode. So a lot of the times, if you're going to be strategic in playing the game, you want to have them explode in a mine or something, or somewhere that won't destroy something that you want to preserve. So there's this explosive energy somewhere in your life. So just make sure you're directing that towards something you want to destroy or that you don't care about destroying, rather than it destroying something close to your home or something that you want to preserve. Okay. I think that's all I have to say about that card right now. Okay. Oh, okay. No, I thought I saw another 9 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I was like, oh, that means that there's more, but no, it's a Knight of Wands. So we're going to just, if that becomes relevant later, we'll see. But very fiery energy. And 2 cards keep coming up for you, so I'm just going to claim them both for you. We've got the 10 of Rods, and we have the 8 of Swords. So we've got 8, 9, 10 going on here. Okay. So we've got a lot of fiery energy when we're talking about wands. That's fire. And that's really about our passions. That's also about physical movement, like moving our bodies. It's pure energy. So it also can be about your creative endeavors. So with this 10 of Rods, I actually love how this is playing out, because the 9 is telling you that you're close to the end, but you're not quite there yet. Whereas the 10 of Wands says that you're at the end. So I feel like there's this process for this group right now where you're moving towards like the completion of some sort of project. This could be a creative project. It could be a physical feat. Like say you've been training for a marathon and now marathon time's coming, you're going to complete it and then you'll be done. You know, whether or not you want to continue it or whatever, at least it'll be done, you know? So I would say just push through. Make sure you're taking care of yourself, drinking water, making sure you're hydrated and well fed, and making sure you're getting the nutrients that you need. And there is like an illness going around the US at least, where like certain, I think, vegetables have this bacteria or something that's giving people like explosive diarrhea. So that's hard because those are fruits and vegetables. Like you need that to live and be healthy. So you can't really avoid, you know, some of that kind of stuff. But I feel like this is also saying like, just if you want to skip out on certain vegetables and stuff because you're scared of that kind of thing, which is totally valid, just make sure you're getting your supplements elsewhere. Maybe you take some vitamins instead, or again, just take care of yourself. I also actually really see the 10 of Rods as a resource card. I don't think every tarot reader will think of it that way, but I think of this card as someone who's been, yes, they're carrying a burden, but I see them as carrying all these sticks that they've collected to either like bring back to their village to build a fire or maybe construct a building or something out of it. But this is someone who's worked really hard to have resources. But again, it's this also can indicate back pain. So that could be like doing a little bit too much or carrying too much. So this is just saying like, you know, now is the time to release a burden or a bunch of burdens that is weighing you down, especially if they're not just yours to hold. Because again, how I see this 10 of Wands card or the 10 of Rods card is like, okay, you've done your part to collect all of these resources for your community. Now it's up to them to show up. Like you're tired. So you're going to leave the resources there and be like, okay, guys, I'm going to go take a nap. You guys build a fire. You guys build what you need with these resources, but I brought this. So now I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to lean on my community to do the rest. This card is a very solitary card. So the imagery of this one is different from that. So maybe you are carrying burdens that, again, maybe you just need a release. Maybe it's less about them being a resource and more about them being a burden and just being like, this is your burden to carry. So you get to either continue carrying them and continue having that back pain, whether that's real or manufactured, or you can let it go. I think that this group really needs to let something go, whether it's a physical task, like maybe certain responsibilities, or a dream that you had that is just not working out, or yeah, I just feel like reality might be hitting you in a way where it's like you've got to let go of something. Like maybe you really wanted to open a business in a certain kind of way. You wanted it to be like 5 stars and all that stuff, but you don't have the resources to actually make it that way. It's like maybe you have a motel instead and you start there, build up money, and then you can have your dream hotel, you know, or your dream business, whatever. But it just seems like sometimes when you try to push something too hard, too fast, when the timing's not right, you're just going to burn yourself out and you're going to be tired. So we want to just really preserve your energy at this moment and remember that the overarching theme is like being with people you care about. So if the people you care about are not showing up for you, if you feel like you're holding all the burdens on your own, that sucks. And also maybe you don't invest as much. Maybe you don't hold their burdens as much because they're not helping you hold yours. Okay. Last card is the 8 of Swords reversed. And this is really, I feel like, about mental liberation when it's in the reversal. Because I just imagine all of the swords falling away because the gravity is going to take them away. And then the truth will be revealed. Because usually when it's upright, I'm like, okay, there's some sort of truth not being revealed to you, whether that's of your own doing, which it usually is, or whether it's someone else keeping information from you. But with it reversed, I'm just really feeling it like, truth is out. You've got clarity about something. Now, when you have clarity about something, if all those swords are removed, you're scared of the swords and you're like bound up. But if you now know that the swords are gone and you still continue to stay blindfolded, even though you can easily untether yourself, even though this one seems a little bit stronger of a tether, but it's actually not necessarily. It looks like mummy wrapping. And it looks dirty and old. So it's like, you know, it might take you some effort to like break away, but you can break free. So this is a liberation card I'm feeling for you, especially when it comes to your mental capacity. And so I feel like what you're moving through at this time is just really understanding what truly matters, what's been burdening you that you don't need to take on anymore. And then also just knowing the truth about certain things. And again, it's not always pleasant to know the truth. It's not always fun to know, like, oh, your dad cheated on your mom. That sucks. But now you know the truth about your dad, and maybe you can support your mom more, you know, or, you know, it sucks, but at least you know, and no one's keeping secrets from you. You know, some secrets you don't want to know, but also it gives you more context to like maybe why your mom was being so mean to your dad, and you were like so mad at her for being mean to him. But it's like, can you now understand why? She would be upset. Yeah, of course. So now, you know, you can actually move forward with more honesty and more integrity and more understanding through that truth. So my friends, I really think those are all the messages that I have for you. I hope that felt empowering for you. Don't forget to stay shiny and polish your edges that feel like they need to be polished, but also know that your beauty is in the cracks as well. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, and if you love this reading, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I have a lot of readings on my account, so feel free to go check those out as well. And if you'd like to book a personal reading with me, get more detailed insights, more one-on-one, like get specific with your birth chart and with your energies and all that stuff, please book a reading with me. I do in-person and virtual. You can find more information on how to book me in the show notes and also at fortuneofthefool.com. So thanks y'all for joining. Stay foolish. Mwah.